Hi, welcome back to the second video in the quarter scale Reaper build. Now, I did do a video the other night, but the batteries went flat on me. I didn't check them, didn't make sure they were charged, and it went flat whilst I was sat talking to the camera and wound up talking to myself, not realising that they had switched off on me. I didn't save what I'd already done. So, you missed quite a bit, but I'll just recap on it. I've just about finished the rudder, you can see. Just got to sand the trailing edge, finish the servo off underneath, put the horn in, and just general finishing off, spit and polish, and get ready to fill and paint it. But I'll be doing that when I do all the other control surfaces. So that's done and out of the way for now, and we're on to the first of the rudders. But I'm going to do them all both at the same time because they're identical, both of the elevators. I glued the balsa together and then glued the plans over the top with spray mount. But I came into a bit of a problem with this. It's the first time I've ever used spray mount and not dealt with it straight away. The paper isn't a problem. The paper peels off, a bit of it tears, no big loss. But I sprayed the balsa, even with only a light dusting. I did them on a Tuesday, sanded them on a Wednesday, and came back to split them on a Friday, and it took 15 minutes just to separate the trailing edge spar. They were a pain in the backside. I even managed to split a few of them, so these I'm going to have to replace, but I was just keeping it to put just to line everything up. But that and one or two of us have been replaced already, and even the ones that came apart okay without breaking, it left a few splinters and just a rough finish. So if you ever use spray mount, especially putting wood to wood, it's brilliant, but do not leave it for days. Lesson learnt. I mentioned in the first video as well about differences as little things in the plans, and I'm spotting quite a few of them, and there's just sort of more inconsistencies, stuff that I might not notice if I wasn't actually doing the video and paying as much attention as I should. And with the rudder, the large chunk at the end, at the root, I've made 2 or 3 of to line them up, and I found that the plan was printed based, I think, along the inside. Maybe the inside or the outside. Anyway, this one is lined up to be on the outside edge in contact with the body, but down at the tip it's the other way around. It's at the inside edge, and that's not consistent through the wings, the rudder, the elevators. So it's all just stuff you've got to watch, otherwise you may end up having to recut bits. It's not a big deal, but the more often you have to do it, the more wood, more time, and the more of a pain in the backside it is. And the main spar on this one, the elevator, it was brilliant. Top to bottom, matched up perfectly with all the ribs. But the further down you go, the more and more it separates. It's much thicker at the tip than at the root. It's perfect at the root. These aren't glued in, they're just mounted up, just sanding them just to get them the right angle in. And I just want to pin them in just to show you how far I've got. And so with these I'm going to glue it up, but I'm going to leave the spar that thickness until I skin it. Then I'll just sand it flush. So whilst it's still in wood and unpainted, unglassed, you'll see the line where the spar runs down. Trailing edge spar, so I had this mounted in the other night and it doesn't fit. I've marked it up, just needs a little bit cutting off so it will fit in. So this does not match the plan, doesn't match this when you put them together. So again, minor detail, no big deal. Better off too big than too small. rather cut it down than have to cut it again. All the second ribs, spars ready to go in. Just need to get hold of some material for leading edge, trailing edge. I've got some hardwood for spruce, all sorts of little bits, and ply that I can use for the reinforcing points. And then I'll be on to the wings. I think I'm going to get the main wing and body plans printed out this week or next. I'll do a separate video. I'll find something on a program where I can record what I'm doing on a laptop and just show you a really simple little program I've got for tiling, and it allows me to overlap edges, so you're not just butting paper up, you can overlap it, line them up perfectly, how many sheets you want, which way around you want them, so you can be as economical as you want, and also less of the plans actually joining up and having to run over the dotted lines, which is brilliant for the smaller pieces. For the main plans and such, it's not a problem, but when you get to the small parts, it's really nice not to have to tape them up and tape them together. And if you can get it all nicely laid out, you can quite often find that you very rarely have to join the pages at a point where there's too many pieces or too many plans going across the joint, which is brilliant. It's one less job to do. And if you print it at home on A4 or A3, depending on quality of your printer, they can vary massively. And if you're doing massive numbers of tiles, so 4x3 or 5x3, having to not just line up left to right, having to line up top to bottom, top to left, it all just gets out of line. And if your printer's not playing games, it can also give you steps. It can be high here, but then low here, it just doesn't line up. It's not most home printers. Well, there are many people with home printers that are as good as professional plotters. So if you can find one cheap enough, get it plotted out. It's worth it. But if you're managing to do it on, say, 3 sheets of A3, if you're only doing a small build, brilliant. You know, gladly stick them together. See, and over 3 sheets, you're probably going to be out by $500,000 at most. So it's not really a big worry. For these now, I've not much sanding to do to them. Use a massive disc sander that I've got access to, but with it being 2.5 foot wide, when you rub it up, it contacts both the downward side and the upward side, so it doesn't sand equally. So I was sanding on the downward side only. I was just leaving little steps, so I need to sand them flush. Well, maybe if you sand them flush, I think I can leave them until it comes to skinning and sanding. This piece as well, is straight. This second piece had so much welly given to it, trying to get it to separate, and it took 15 minutes of prying, swearing, cursing, very nearly breaking it, that it's warped. So I think I'll just give it a spray, whack it under something heavy, and see if it straightens out. If not, just get another one cut. We've got plenty of spare, 6mm. Not worth risking putting a warped piece of wood in such a large, in any plane. You know, out of line. It's all stuff that you need to trim out later, and it's just not worth the hassle. And it looks shit when it's all nicely finished and your elevators are on the piss. So get it nice and straight, and that'll be ready for next week. I mean, I'll get this elevator finished, and then I'll build up the right hand elevator with you. I'll actually do a video of building it and just show you what it entails, so I can get the first one done and then go through the second one with you and show you any other little faults I find. But this is 65 centimeters, which is about 25 and a bit inch. So if that's just a spar, they're 90 degrees to each other. Imagine the size